Hi everyone, this is a short presentation on the North American river otter, or otherwise known as Elantra canadensis. So this is just a quick overview of some of the things I'm going to be talking about during this presentation. First, we're going to go over the identification and some of the defining characteristics of North American river otters, also including their classification. Then we're going to look at their home range and some of their habitat requirements, which is also a way of identifying if it is a North American river otter. Then we're going to move on to life history, or the reproduction and life cycle of the river otter, and ending with some of the relevant behaviors that they exhibit. So first we're going to talk about the identification of North American river otters. I have a little classification outline of the kingdom, phylum, subphylum, order, and family, genus, species. So they're in the kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, subphylum Vertebrata, order Carnivora, so they're carnivores, they eat only meat. They're in the family Mustelidae, and then as I mentioned in the first slide, their genus species is Elantra canadensis. Some of the defining characteristics of North American river otters: they have really long and streamlined bodies with thick and tapered tails. So they're very sleek and thin and can move through the water very quickly because they're so long and their bodies are lean. And that thick tapered tail helps them to move through. It's kind of the large muscle for mobility through the water. They have wide rounded heads and very small ears and nostrils. And they can actually close those up when they're swimming through the water, so they're not taking in all this water as they're swimming. Their fur is really cool, so it's very dark in coloration, kind of a dark brown or almost black, especially on the dorsal side. And then as you can see in that first picture, they're a little bit lighter in coloration on their ventral side. But their fur is actually extremely thick. They're the hairiest animal in the world. They have more hair per square inch on their body than any other animal that's out there. And this helps them to stay warm when they're swimming through a lot of the colder waters and when they're in the colder climate ranges. They also keep them dry. They spend a lot of their time in the water, obviously, swimming through and catching prey and playing with others in their groups. So it's very important that they have this thick, almost waterproof fur over their bodies. They also have thick and long vibrissae, which are the whiskers you see on their faces. They have webbed feet, so that can help them with swimming. And the placement of the toes is actually important to also have them adapt to living on land, so they can walk around on land and on the shores. And then they have claws on their toes, which can help with catching prey, defending themselves. The eye placement, so when you hear that, you always wonder if the eyes are on the front or on the side, and that can determine if they're a predator or a prey species. Being in order Carnivora, they are a predator, so they hunt, and so their eyes are placed on the front of their head. But they're also kind of up towards the top of their faces as well. So this can help them when they're swimming through the water, they can kind of see what's going on just above that water line. And then in the farthest picture on the right, you can see the sharp, specialized canine teeth. So helping tear up the fish or the meat of their prey, being a carnivore. So another way of identifying an animal is knowing where it lives and what kind of habitat it would be in. So in this slide, I've attached a small picture of the range that you would normally find a North American river otter in. So all the orange that you see on the map of the North American continent is where you would normally see them. As far as habitat requirements, they are extremely tolerable of a great range of temperatures, elevations, as long as they have a steady food supply, lots of fish to eat, access to some kind of water, and they can be found in freshwater and coastal marine areas as long as they just have some type of water near them. And they actually use the dens of other animals like beavers and any type of den that they could use for their young. So as long as they have those habitat requirements, they can basically live just about anywhere. So next we're going to talk about the life history, or otherwise known as reproduction or life cycle, of the North American river otter. This is probably my favorite slide just because of the cute little pictures of the little pups and the mommy river otter holding up her little baby that she's really proud of. So river otters will breed during late winter and early spring, sometime around later in December all the way up until April. And they are a polygynous species, meaning that there is usually one female who will mate with multiple, generally about 2 males per breeding season. And as I talked about earlier, they will generally use the dens of other animals to have their young and to care for their young. This is normally found, they normally use beaver dens, which is interesting, but they would need to be able to swim up and have some dry area to take care of their babies. The litter size is generally 1 to 6 pups. Its normal average is going to be 2 to 3 per female. And the mother is the one who actually gives the most parental care for the pups. The male generally leaves pretty early on. The pups are normally weaned off the mother around 6 months, but they stick with them and are not sexually matured until 2 to 3 years of age. And they can live anywhere from 7 to 20 years. The actual oldest recorded North American river otter was about 21 years of age, so they live a pretty long time. There's one really cool thing that they can do called embryonic diapause. So the female can actually hold on to the sperm given by the male for an extended amount of time and not use it to start developing the eggs until she chooses to. And this can happen in lots of marsupials as well, and it's a way of making sure that the environmental conditions are adequate for the babies to be had. So something really cool that they can do. So now we're going to end this presentation with talking about the relevant behaviors of the North American river otter. The individuals generally live alone or in family groups. It's going to be typically females and their young. They're extremely playful animals. They have behaviors such as playing in the mud and snow and sliding and burrowing and water play. These activities actually do serve a purpose, though. They're used to strengthen social bonds, practice hunting techniques and ways of communication, and scent marking. So they get their energy from having a high metabolism, which requires them to eat a great deal during the day, and to be able to swim and dive, and they can actually stay underwater for up to 8 minutes, which is pretty cool. But their behavior of being social and playing together really does help them to survive in the wild, and having all these capabilities to do some things like that, like swimming and diving to such great depths and holding their breath and for that length of time, and being able to be such good hunters during the night and also sometimes during the day. But overall, that's about it for North American river otters. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you learned a lot about these cute little furry animals.